Let me know when you're open.
All right.
Okay, it is now time for us to start. So if everybody will stand up. Since Diane skipped school for a couple of times, we'll have her lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming. Remember, we are now by law having to have everything done and recorded and available with the recording for the public.
So do we need to dress differently?
No, make sure you do not address
Or
things
just the
wrong.
top half?
Yeah, yeah. You can still come in your underwear. Yeah.
Or is it just, it's not just audio, it's the whole thing?
It's the whole thing, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the last legislative session mandated that we were not being open enough to the public, so now we have to make sure that it's all recorded and available.
Have to make
Within a
sure the
week.
public comes in.
So, and we'll have it available tomorrow morning.
No, not till Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday. Oh. If they wanted it tomorrow morning, they better be here.
Yes.
So, okay, so we're now called to order. Now remember, January is Board Appreciation Month. So to my board members, thank you. And also to Dana, thanks for the little recognition.
You're welcome.
I don't think we need introductions. We don't have any, well, we got strangers here, but no new strangers. So that brings us to comments from the audience about non-agenda items. A couple of things. First, the audit presentation will not be tonight because they're not ready. But we do have some other thing that might be of interest to a number of people who've worked with the early learning. So Dana, I will turn that part over to you right now.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and go with superintendent report, or do you want to go with early learning?
Let's do the early learning.
Okay,
We
we'll
need
go
to
with,
amend the agenda.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the new part of the agenda that didn't make it to the regular.
That didn't make it through the regular agenda. Okay, then I'm going to go to my notes, Paul, so that I can talk for a little bit. We found out at about 8:30 this morning, we went from being selected to actually being awarded. So, yeah, literally Susan was like, I'm so glad it came in today because I could call Paul and we could get it on the agenda. So there is a lot that happened today. The total award is $19.9 million. We got the entire thing that we asked for. Which is extremely exciting and quite honestly terrifying at the same time. But I wanted to give you just a little bit of background because I know that it sounds like a tremendous amount of money. And the reality is that that doesn't actually get us there. And I want to make sure that I'm really open and transparent about where we're at. So in talking to Eric Wilson, our project manager on Monday, I had him kind of go back and talk to me about where this started so that I could get a handle on some numbers. And so Pat Sublett and Dan Spots and Nancy, tell me Nancy's last name, Patton from Child Care Resources. They started on this project years ago, and some of the funding came from an ARPA grant that came to the community college. And my understanding is that they drove all over town. They worked with a lot of community members to try and understand the need, and then to try and find a location and land or building from scratch or remodeling, all of those things. They landed on Chenoweth Middle School. And at that point in time, there was a guesstimate that the building was about 34,000 square feet. They did not have plans. We have since gotten the blueprints from the school district. And so when we started doing some cost estimates, they did some cost estimates on the 34,000 square feet, thinking that we would do what's called tenant improvements. So basically painting up the inside. And that estimate was for about $12.5 million. As time went on, we got the blueprints. We found out that in fact, the building is 54,000 square feet. Instead of, yes, and yeah, so a little bit of a difference. And where we've landed is that we're going to be renovating 29,000 square feet fully. The remainder of the 54,000 square feet, we will be doing partially. So we will be doing asbestos abatement on the entire structure, and we will be doing sprinkler systems for fire on the entire structure. But many of the large south rooms, if you've been in that building, the auditorium, the music room, the old cafeteria, which is downstairs, those rooms are basically, the doors are going to be locked because right now, the money that we have from the EPA grant doesn't allow us to do all of it. Where we're working right now with Malum, who's the architect that was hired, is that they are working on the 29,000 square feet, and we're looking at a bid that's going to be about 18.5 million. What's in the EPA grant is 16.6 million. So we are still $2 million short. So what will happen when we go out to bid is that we will go out to bid for the 16 plus and have about $2 million in ad alternatives. And that as we continue to fundraise, we will add those things back in with whoever the contractor is that's selected. But I realize that the 19.9 million sounds like we're all the way there. Remember that one of the requirements for this grant is that we have a statutory partner. That statutory partner is the community college nonprofit, their foundation. They have about $1 million in that grant for activities that will support the Resiliency Center and that will support workplace development. And then there's obviously some set-asides and some indirect costs and things like that. We have posted a half-time position for someone in the fiscal department to start to really get a handle on this budget and how to do reimbursements and reimbursements. And later this spring, I will post a director level position also. And until that time, a lot of the main work will stay on my plate. And I'm meeting with the project manager on a weekly basis. I've also been invited to work with the Dalles Community Outreach Team. They typically go to Washington, DC twice a year. And so they've invited me to come and help them coordinate so that when they go back and message later this spring, that this is part of their agenda. And we still have 1.5 million in a federal appropriation that if the federal government actually manages to pass an entire budget instead of doing these stopgap measures, that we would be eligible for that 1.5 million. That comes from Wyden and Merkley's work. We have 2 more rounds of the Oregon childcare grants that will come up later this spring and in the fall. And so we will be reapplying for those also. But I want to be really clear because I know that it sounds like a lot of money and we still have some more work to do. But nobody wanted to pay for the HVAC system or the new roof or the new windows. And they're probably going to be okay paying for the playground. So some of the things that we pulled out are things that we think are pretty easy to now go to private foundations and to other organizations to try and get us to get the help that we need.
That's really exciting.
Nice.
So, questions?
What is the time frame year-wise? What are we looking at?
So the hope would be is that we actually are going out to bid later this spring. The challenge is that many school districts that have bonds are ahead of us. And because everyone wants their work done on their schools during the summer. But right now, the goal is that 18 months from now, so September of 26, that we would be ready to open.
Given how long
the history, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that where we're at right now is that Paul and Doug have been on the steering committee. We have the basic blueprints, but what we don't have is, if you've seen, designs for houses, we don't have all of the other plans. And so that next step is actually digging in and doing all of those plans so that then we can get it ready to go out to bid.
Exciting.
Thank you for adding that large thing to your plate because that is a lot, even just your one meeting a week is adding a lot. And I know it's much deeper than that.
It is, and it's extremely exciting, and I think that it has the potential to position the ESD in a very different place in this community, and that's really exciting. The work that we're going to do for families to provide them with quality daycare it's
going to become a high point and focal point for the whole area
Yeah.
here. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the key is that it shows and demonstrates what we can do when we work together. That sometimes you have to have a vision and not just blink your eyes, but go for it.
This is
And
beautiful.
it's going to be a very rewarding process. But the key more than anything else is the kids of the Dallas area deserve it.
They do, they do.
Yes.
And a community, the entire community. It's wonderful.
Yeah, source of pride for all of us.
I think
Absolutely.
it deserves another chair.
Anything else, Dana?
I'm good on that one.
Yeah, we'll take it later. Do that during our consent agenda. Okay, with that in mind, let's continue on our presentation. So again, like I said, the audit report will now be ready. The next one will be my report on the legislature. The legislature, believe it or not, has been in session off and on since, believe it or not, they accepted the vote in December. However, the actual day-to-day started Monday, but the session is not open for the public yet. Monday, they swore in those individuals who are new to the legislature or changing. They've had good work sessions that getting started with making sure that the sponsors of bills have expanded who's going to be the sponsors, the chief sponsors, and the co-sponsors. They have a limited amount of time to do that before it's actually introduced. They've been working with legislative council on making sure the language is what they wanted. So they're actually getting ready for their true opening, which will be next Monday. And once they have the true opening, every bill will have the opportunity to be assigned to a committee. Then it has to have at least one session with that committee and a referral to a different committee for it to continue on. If it has this one work session and doesn't get referred, in April, I think it is, it goes sine die. I mean, it dies. Although technically, they have the ability sometimes to do what is known as gut and stuff. If there's another bill that somebody doesn't like, and they like this one better, then it can be re-referred and become still another bill for people to consider. Legislature is a complicated thing. I might add that the sessions are open to the public. However, will be limited because that building is still not ready. You know, we're thinking of maybe we'll be ready with a brand new learning center in 18 months. Well, they've been working on that little building for probably 3 years and probably have another 18 months to go. Because not only is it the retrofit of an old building that was built in the 30s, but they have lots of updating they have to do. So, but the session will go on, and as we get deeper into it, I'll do more reporting with more real language of what's more, I would say more exciting, but when they start actually considering it. Again, 3,000 bills they anticipate, with over 600 of them referring specifically to education. So more later on that. Okay, it's time for Dana's official report.
I want to start by recognizing that it is School Board Appreciation Month, and I am deeply grateful to be working with all of you and appreciate your support. I've really enjoyed getting to know you all. And I think the thing that Paul said about vision and actually moving forward with that vision, you all started this conversation years ago for an early learning center. And I hope that you all choose to stay on the board long enough that you can all be there the day that we actually have kids coming into that building, because it's truly a huge partnership in this entire community. And I'm really thankful to be a part of it. I also, I mean, it's been 6 months actually since I started, and I am extremely impressed with the dedication and the knowledge of the directors. And I've been, I feel very fortunate to be working with such amazing professionals. We had a meeting today and we were talking about something that really isn't going very well. And what are we going to do about it? And we just had such a good, honest, robust conversation. And people are able to share, you know, this is my frustration and this is what I think we might want to do, or have we considered this? And I really appreciate the professionalism and the honesty and the integrity that I see in working with all of the directors. At the upcoming legislative session, one of the things that I'm really excited about is that with Susan's help, managed to wrangle calendars for all of the area superintendents and have now gotten confirmed yeses from Senator Bonham, Representative Smith, and Senator Nash. And we're all going to be on a virtual meeting tomorrow so that the superintendents can share the successes in their districts, and that we can start to hopefully open a dialogue with them about as the session opens and what our educational priorities are, and hear what theirs are, and then try and ask that we get some more regular touchstones with those individuals. Tried to get Representative Helfrich also, but it's a challenge to get everybody's schedules together. But I'm excited. The superintendents have all been very involved. We've been going to some COSA legislative advocacy sessions. And so I think that they're all really prepared to be able to, in a short amount of time, talk to our representatives tomorrow. And then I'm also looking forward in February to an executive session where I can share my self-reflections with you on how things have gone to this point, and talk to you about what the future looks like. And I'll ask Susan to send you my self-assessment under separate cover before the February meeting.
Okay, any questions?
Is the February meeting going to be our regular meeting and we stay
Yes.
afterwards?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I guess now we go to get started on the departmental reports. How about our finances?
Good evening, Chair Zastro and esteemed members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I want to first thank you for your time and energy toward Columbia Gorge GSD's success. This is my first board report, so it's pretty short and sweet, I guess. Our audit is still underway. We should be able to provide more detailed financial reports once completed. In the meantime, the fiscal team is focusing on finalizing our calendar year-end tasks. Actually, we were able to print 1099s today, which is great, and we should have our W-2s out shortly and payrolls due this week. So I kind of feel like we're doing okay.
Yeah, I'm just
And then you can see my report is the current planning balances. If you have any questions.
Okay, any questions?
You're still breathing, that's good.
I have a great team, so I'm very grateful with the people I get to work with every day. So.
Well, thanks for a nice short report, and I'm sure that you will keep us apprised of what's going on.
Yes.
Okay, normally I would next be Kip, but since Kip's not here, I guess, Dana, do you want to fill in what little you can for us?
All right. Let me find it, Paul. Is it? There it is. I got it. Okay. All right. It looks like we have, from human resources side, we have one new hire as a substitute, and a resignation, also from our early learning center. And we have some openings right now. I know Kip and his team are also continuing to work on the wellness grant that we have received, and on doing a staff get together in February to try and beat the winter blahs, since we opted not to do anything at the holidays.
And may the fog clear out.
Yeah. That would be fantastic.
Okay. Next, let's see, who shall I start picking? Let's start with Jonathan.
Good evening, board members. Thank you very much for your dedicated service and volunteerism as board members. Your time is respected and valued, and we really, truly appreciate you. I'm going to be short and sweet. Thank you for setting the tone. So on Friday, January 10th, we had our annual Path to Scholarships workshop. It was hosted at the Dallas High School. 21 juniors and seniors from North Wasco, South Wasco, and Dufur, both from migrant education and Native American programs, were present. Students learned a portfolio process for applying for scholarships in colleges using templates to streamline their applications. By the end of the session, they had strong rough drafts, and the specialists from migrant and Native programs will follow up with additional sessions to support them for them to be able to apply.
That's awesome.
And that's my report. Any questions?
That's just
Thank you.
wonderful kind of support for kids who may or may not have it at
Teresa?
home, not everybody does.
That's a wonderful project.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and happy Board Appreciation Month. Thank you for all you do in service of our community's children and families. I'm reporting for Mari as well as myself. So we've recently hosted the Novice Teacher Collaborative, and that was with Mari and then our two coaches, Haley Elliott and Eric Eckstein. And there were 16 educators that were present online, that joined online, which was great. We had educators from North Central ESD, Dufur, North Wasco, as well as Hood River, and they will be meeting monthly. And so that went really well. We also, Mari and I, along with Dana and Vanessa, met with our team from ODE. They came out and met with us today to do a mid-year check-in with our comprehensive plan. And we got some good feedback from them. We were able to share some really positive successes as well. And we're taking some of that information and incorporating it into our comprehensive plan application for 2025-27, which we have to submit by the end of the month. And then also, we're excited to be able to host a workshop for mentors, coaches, and administrators within our region on having hard conversations, and that's with Jennifer Abrams. And so that's coming up in February, and we're excited that our director colleagues hopefully will be able to join us for that workshop as well. And then in our liaison role, we're busily supporting our districts around the needs assessment process for their integrated programs applications. And so we've been busily working on that, and mentoring is just, we're having great conversation.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Stan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to thank the board for all the support you provide to us and the community and the people that we serve and our departments. I know that our staff really appreciates you all for all the support you give to us. And to fellow colleagues, I'm going to be very short tonight. I'm going to start out with some interesting things that the tech department has been working on this last 2 weeks since we returned from break. I was reminded tonight that we had a power outage the first day that we got back, which took down all of our systems for about 3.5 hours.
Oh, dear.
It was a fault of a system here at the college that took down our data center. We've been working with them to try to get that resolved. Followed that up with one of our, ended up having 2 data breaches with vendors that we work with, third-party vendors. One affected Dufur and South Wasco and North Wasco County School Districts. So our team has been working with them to try to get through this process. And right after we were hopefully finalizing that, we ended up with another notification of a data breach this week that we have been working on. Again, it was a third-party vendor with data compromised. We don't have full details of everything that's been compromised. We are working with PACE, SDAO, Constangi, which is the legal representatives for PACE. We're working with our own legal representatives, and we'll get information out as soon as we can to all staff. We are updating our website as well to provide additional information on how to protect their financial well-being. So that we're working on. We're finishing up some final things for our E-rate projects for DUFR. That should be finished up within the next 2 weeks. We're also doing some revamping of our server infrastructure to better position ourselves, and we're working with vendors to get our data backup that we were awarded the grant for, and we should have that fully implemented and operational by the end of June. So a lot going on. I also want to give a shout out to my staff. They're an amazing group. Our new employee that we had join us has come on board, has immediately contributed. So we're really pleased to have him with our staff, and I just can't say enough about the crew in the tech department. They are just amazing group. So, and they've been doing a lot with this data breach. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer as many as I can.
How close are we in the area to being totally redundant so we don't have to rely on the power grid all the time?
We are definitely working on that. One of the things that we are doing, we're finishing a redundancy between Buford and South Watersville, so that we'll have that complete. We are also doing another redundancy between the college and the middle school and the high school, and a couple other locations, so that if we lose like the data lines between, then we will be we'll still be able to communicate. They are the one thing that I would love to work on is to be essentially where the ESD is in control of our own data and our own data centers. That's a long-term, very long-term a goal of ours. And then we could also help support other community members in that too, so that we can ensure that we are redundant across the board.
I would just like to say how impressed I am with your ticket statistics and closed tickets. And it's a little mind spinning for me to figure them out, but I really appreciate the transparency, and it really illustrates all the detail-y work you do that we don't hear about, because you're just giving highlights. And I'm really grateful that you and your department do such a good job dealing with the problem.
Yeah, I think last week we had 115 tickets come in. No, excuse me. We had 115 tickets came in, and we ended up closing more tickets than we had come in, which has been great for this month considering all that's been going on. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know the area of redundancy. A number of years ago, I was on the 21st Century Communications Coordinating Council, which is a governor's appointment. And it was interesting. Even then, we were talking about, where are the glitches? And one of them was, why are they there? And another one was, why doesn't the legislature forward enough money so that they can be taken care of? And then another one that comes back even further when, how come Quest, when they were making $320 million and should have been fined, only had to pay 64 million of it. So yeah, the problems are always going to be there, and we will continue to work on them and try to get them done and taken care of, so that it's going to be smoother. Those of you who think it's smooth now, I guess we could say you ain't seen nothing yet, right, Stan?
I think that's very true. Yes.
Okay, Julie.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'd also like to start my report just by expressing my gratitude for your service, your guidance, and your continued support of the Columbia Gorge STEM Hub and the work that we do. Certainly a month to celebrate all of you, but that should be happening all the time. So just thank you for everything that you do. Just a few quick updates from the STEM Hub. The first one, Every November, we open up what we call STEM micro grants for educators. And this is an opportunity for pre-K through post-secondary educators in and out of school programs to write micro grants up to $1,000 to support initiatives in their schools and programs. And you'll notice in the next couple of days, some media releases that release the names of our awardees. We have 20 educators, pre-K, middle school, elementary, high school, in and out in all 5 counties who are being awarded grants. So it's always an honor to provide those, and then to see the great work that's happening with our educators and be able to allocate some of our funds from the Oregon Department of Education for that specific goal. So it's always exciting. Keep your eyes and ears out to your local media just to hear those awards. And second, we're really excited. February 14th is North Central ESD's in-service. And as you know, some of our departments cross CGESD and North Central ESD, and we've worked really hard to build relationships with our rural counties. And we're so excited to really come in full force and support their in-service. We're bringing an educator from Clackamas ESD who will be providing a workshop on building thinking classrooms and inquiry. We're also supporting Oregon Computer Science Teachers Association in their keynote speaker. His name's Jacob Nybergall, who will introduce AI in education and be able to provide a workshop session. And then my team will also offer some workshops. So just really exciting to watch over the last few years that partnership grow and for us to be able to support North Central ESD in such a big way. That's all I have for tonight. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, Shira.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. It's nice to see you all this evening. I also would like to start off with thanking you for your support and your continued interest and genuine interest in the work that Four Rivers Early Learning and Parenting Hub is doing. I love when you ask questions and are really digging in to wrap your head around what the hubs do. So thank you so much for all of your work and efforts. Tonight, we have a lot of things in progress. We are planning the Children's Wellness Summit, which is in partnership with many other community members, and that we have secured a date for that. That is April 22nd and will happen at the Civic Auditorium, where we've had our in-services in the past. So that is moving along. I'm having some meetings with potential keynote speakers and looking forward to solidifying their plans to present for us. We are also in the process of planning our Journey to the Stars conference, which is in collaboration with the STEM Hub and Child Care Partners, and that is focused on early literacy and STEM. And we have secured our keynote speaker, who is Dawn Hendricks. I'm not sure if anybody here has seen her present, but she's excellent. She's done a lot of trainings for our community. I'm really excited to have her as our keynote speaker. And then we are working really hard on hiring a unicorn. We're looking for a bilingual infant and early childhood mental health consultant. And that is for our the new program is called the Every Child Belongs program, and this is the House bill that is preventing suspension expulsion for preschool age children. And this is how Department of Early Learning and Care is looking to make a difference and to support caregivers, which will ultimately support maintaining children in the classroom. So we have our marketing firm working on this and looking to find some creative ways to put this position out there to attract the best candidate. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
Good job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Amanda.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members of the board and colleagues. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Board members, thank you so much for everything you do. I'm really excited to work with you in the future and learn about everything that you do with us. So for my report, again, probably short and sweet. I just wrapped up my second month in this position, which is super exciting. We were able to have a productive all-team meeting yesterday. We're really working on standardizing our processes and our documentation across our schools and our team members. I'm really working to understand what supports my team needs, working to improve their health rooms across their schools. And we've started planning for next year, so we know what is happening with transitions for medical needs. We're getting on the calendars for school in-services so we can provide medication trainings to staff members that we delegate to. My team has been asking for continuing education as they're all relatively new in their roles, so we are working to provide them with as much as possible. And then North Wasco County School District's health team is currently contracted through Adventist Health, and that contract's coming to an end. So we are looking into how we can support their health team through CGESD or through North Wasco County.
Hey, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's give her a hand.
Well, you're gonna get one.
Yeah, you're gonna get
We want to say a big round of applause from the little hands at Sunshine Kids Early Learning. And then there's little hands on the back for you guys too. And then we were doing a round of applause. You guys and if you'd like to take another little hand as well.
Those went after your.
I know.
Fidgets are always fun, so.
Very good. I have a gavel, but this one
But thank you for all you do. So fun. It's always fun to paint little fingers.
I always love that. And occasionally with sped kids and kindergartners, their feet.
Yes, we did that too.
See, this is
One of my
first-
instructional assistants, she's like,
This is one of my first experiences is when we went to Sunshine Learning Facility to conduct the interviews for Gary Peterson. That was my first. Very nice.
Thank you. Can I trade for red?
Of course.
Yes.
Choices are
I
important.
decided.
You can have both if you would
This-
like.
Well, my grandson plays basketball.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
there.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this would be a nice.
More
little-
cowbell.
Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, I want school colors there.
So yes, we're also short and sweet this month. Not a lot has happened since the last board meeting, so thank you for all you do. And we hosted our first parent cafe of the 2025 year last night. We had eight parents attend, which is one of our biggest attenders, and there was quite a few who were new families this time. As Aaron Bowman, our family liaison, is the one who facilitates that. And he said that there was parents crying in the first 5 minutes, but it's good tears, right? It's like they're finally getting to share, have someone who understands, make connections.
And this is geared toward parents with kids with special needs, and it's all ages.
Yes.
So even last year, we had participants from North Wasco too.
Yeah, so we offered food, childcare, and it was a great success, and we hope to have a bigger number next month. And
That's such a great idea, and I love the age range because the older parents will have experiences and resources they can share with the parents who are struggling with,
And
their kids' role in school.
What do you provide? Do you provide food or what part?
we do,
Yeah.
yep, food,
And
so
childcare.
dinner and childcare.
And
Yeah.
then what kind of menu? What do you have?
Oh, well, last night we had pizza. Yeah,
Can't lose.
yeah, yeah, we mix it up every month, but
Wonderful.
yeah. Yeah.
And one of the parents shared that this was the first time they had been out of the house in 3 months.
Oh, good.
Because they can't take their child out of the house.
Yes, and what a safe place to go and enjoy, and they're not in charge of bringing anything.
Exactly.
And as always, thank you to Shira and her team at the Hub for the funding for these parent cafes.
Very good.
Great idea.
I love that you're working together.
Okay, Abby?
Yeah, I have a report for Gabby. Yeah, so Gaby and her team are actually in Portland. And so she submitted her report. The Columbia Wren has a lot on their plates right now. We are deep in strategic planning for the upcoming biennium, first with the Wren. And then we're also holding planning sessions with all of our district partners. And remember that they also serve North Central about supports that are available and needs that they have projected into the next year and beyond. This has included team site visits to all of our districts to meet with educators and with leadership. Our Grow Your Own Educator Pathway is also strategic planning with district partners for a 3-year extension. So that grant currently would end in June. They actually submitted their grant today, thanks to Megan Shore, our coordinator. I actually signed 11 MOUs yesterday because we support North Central ESD in that work. And also you'll see in the board packet, we have submitted 2 funding opportunities to be approved, the LGBTQ SIA Plus Student Growth Grant Award and Tribal History Shared History funding.
Any questions?
That's a lot.
This could be stump the soup.
This would be something.
And actually, those 2 will be presented at the February meeting.
Oh, okay. They didn't make it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes discussion of the record. So now we will go on to consent agenda. We have a number of things on the consent agenda. So your pleasure, folks.
I have to make an aside before I move on. Motion that the meeting all these brought back lots of trauma. And especially, we did some training where we had to take the stance of almost a sumo wrestler and then move side to side. And my personal mantra during all of that was contain, don't restrain. Contain, don't restrain. And I had this one boy, I had 2 elementary schools, and I figured it out that there was a pattern in he was a behavioral IEP and a tag child. And he would have his major emotional meltdowns when I was in the other building. He was tracking my car. And I figured out that he was tracking my car. And so parked where he couldn't see it. And walked into the classroom as he has the chair over his head. And he supposedly in this rage, he looks at me and says, "You're not supposed to be here." Put the chair down. So I did make it through these, and I now move that we consent.
I second.
Okay, been moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda as printed.
Paul?
Yes, Doug.
Do we need to approve the grant?
I figure we would do that under the discussion action items under 6.
Oh, okay.
Since it was as we used to, when I was on the OEA board, say it was part of the Friday night special. So. Okay, any other discussion? Yeah, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we come to discussion and action items. Remember, the first one there, the audit, we can't do because it's not ready yet. So that gives us 3 things. One is the approval of the regular meeting schedule for next year. And then the officer council election for the Oregon Association of ESDs with 1 chair-elect nomination, or nominee, I should say, and then the EPA grant. So, your pleasure, folks.
Did we have a copy of the calendar?
It's in the PDF.
Oh, never mind, I found it. Thank you.
Paul, will you tell me some letters we're referring to as you read that off? So I know I'm on the right place. It's 6A, B, and C.
This would be six, actually B, C, and EPA grant.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, and there's the D.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was missing.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept?
I move we accept.
We have it, okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then we come down to information items. We have the North Wasco County School District Technology Status Report from December. And then the OAESD Spring Conference in Sun River from May 7th to May 9th. And then also an announcement for those individuals who need to file for either re-election or find somebody to replace you. With the filing position open on the 8th of February and closing on the 20th of March. And that would be myself, Doug, Stacy, and Jeff.
Now, what is the 20th of March? Is that?
That's filing deadline. There's always a window of about.
Can you still pay $10 and? Yeah.
Yeah,
And you go into the county for that?
in your county office.
Yeah.
You'd have to go.
I'm not on there, but.
Our elections office.
Yeah, the election.
Is it
office, just
open
like-
now or is it?
No, not till
February
February 8th.
After February 8th.
So
Yep.
there's usually a window of about a month and a week and a half.
I would, before you adjourn, I have just a couple of quick questions I'd like to talk about whenever it's right to fit in.
Okay, go.
I'm involved in a kind of a new group called Gorge Village that's working on immigration issues and planning for crises that may occur. And I was given these two things to look at and consider for us. And I'm not even sure if it's appropriate, so I didn't want to make it an agenda item. I would just like to bring up what these two documents are about. This one is an example of what Hood River County School District has chosen in terms of a resolution for protections for undocumented students at school. And I think it's probably a good rough draft, but the people in the Hood River Latino Network could provide one that they think might be even more complete. If that is something that people are interested in addressing. This is a cause that is pretty important to me because I feel like our kids, undocumented kids, need to feel safe at school. And because sometimes that's the place where they feel safe, and I think they deserve to be protected. And then the other one is legislation upcoming Food for All Oregonians. And I don't know if any of you have heard that. This is where I have been working with Samuel Murillo because he works in the Food Network. And basically, there are 5 states who have state programs that will improve SNAP eligibility for immigrants and refugees. And it's modeled kind of after those programs to create a state-funded program that eliminates immigration-based exclusions for SNAP. And then building on successful community-driven navigator models to ensure trust and community safety and applying for assistance more welcoming and culturally responsive. And there are, this is a kind of a broad coalition, and they gave me a list of more than 150 endorsers so far. And it's just a really mixed, interesting group. And I don't know if that's something that is within our purview, but it feels these things are important to me because of the safety and lack of food security that many of our undocumented children have. So anyway, I just wanted to throw those out there. I don't know if that's something that we could look into more, or if it's maybe not our purview. I'm happy to hear people's opinions on that.
I have an idea about the food one. Have they worked at all with the food bank in Hood River and then in the Dalles?
It's coming from them.
Oh, this is coming from them. Okay, that is a huge organization. And they, believe me, they have their bases covered then. They have, I've worked with Becky Boogie, who has been in charge of that for years. Just recently. And so they have phenomenal donations, and they have a huge bank account. I'm privy to know some of the stuff because of certain situations, but they're a very solid organization. I mean, and I actually, my son-in-law is the one that wrote up all of the legal work for them about 10 years ago and got all of these organizations under an umbrella legally to work together and be a tax exempt organization. So it's beautifully organized with many work, yeah, they're powerful.
It is, and I think that this next step they're requesting is to help support refugees and undocumented immigrants. So they also have food and they're hungry. So, but the law doesn't necessarily support. So this is legislation that would support that they're asking us to consider. So anyway, I just wanted to throw those out there.
I think the reality is that we do provide educational services for undocumented without even questioning whether they are or not. And if you are a child who is hungry, you probably are not going to do as well in school as if you had a decent breakfast and know that in the evening you're going to end up having a decent dinner.
And on vacations and
Right.
through summers. And I know that when I was still teaching, part of my concern was how frightened some undocumented families were about applying for anything because they weren't sure what they were signing and
Public
and-
charge.
Yes, exactly. And so, having legislation that supports that seems like a very positive step to me. And so anyway, I don't know if maybe we want to look at that at a future meeting or.
I would say, keep us posted. Let us know when is the best time to talk with our own legislators when bills and whatnot do come up, so that if we need to give them input, we can.
And I know in the past we have done resolutions of
Right.
support.
Yes, that's kind of what they're
gonna say, I think that's
asking
what you're
for.
asking.
Yeah.
Once they have determined which bills they want to help co-sponsor or push, then that could be your job to let us know.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that. Sam Mario gave this to me, asking if we would put our names on this list of 150 that support the idea of that legislation. So maybe for next month, maybe a copy of this or whatever additional information I could give, would it be appropriate to have that be part of an agenda
I think so.
in February?
Let's just coordinate both things.
All right, that's great.
Yeah,
Thank you for your time
And
on that.
realize that Oregon is a sanctuary state. And there has been information coming out from the State Department with the elections in November, reminding schools about what the expectation is here in Oregon. And there are things that we can do regardless of what happens, and things that we won't do regardless of what
Yeah,
happens.
and
at the
Oregon's
federal level.
Sanctuary Promise Act is one of the strongest in the United States. So another reason to be grateful to live in Oregon.
And I know the Fish Food Bank, my daughter was one of the people a few years ago that started, they make lunches and have food at different drop-offs in Hood River. And then people come, any age up to 18 or even 21, and they can take as much food as they want to back to the house. And so their goal was to feed all of these children, anyone up to that age, in the summer months. And so that was always advertised through everything. And they had like drop-offs at certain parks, picnic places, schools, and people really did use it. And that's set up. The food bank is phenomenal in Hood River.
At
The
the
things
Dalles,
they do.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. They really have the bases covered. They really do.
I think we know that too often we have two areas of aging that people don't have a voice. Kids and old folk.
Yeah.
You know, I hope we do a better job of serving those who are very young, and that we remember that eventually we're all gonna need a little bit of assistance as we age. And I'm on the, what's called Senior Advisory Council for the 7th County region from the river to Umatilla. And once in a while, we have to make a decision of how do we get the money to where the action should be. So, do we have anything else to come before the body? And for the second month in a row, we're through before.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And, enjoy